A warning tonight for people looking for a place to rent. Authorities say online scammers are becoming more brazen. As we discovered in this Fox 8 Defenders report, the pandemic may have created a more dangerous situation for people searching online for a place to live.
It was pretty disturbing what occurred.
Ben Anderson considers himself an experienced landlord.
It's a double, as you can see. I have 2 units here, so they're both occupied.
He owns 5 properties in Orleans and Jefferson parishes, manages over a dozen tenants, and has been at it for more than 20 years.
Never in that amount of time have I had experienced a scam of this nature and frequency.
A few weeks ago, Ben was working on this Gentilly house he owns when he says something caught his attention.
A gentleman knocked on my door, said he was going to meet someone there at 10 a.m., gave a name, and I said, I'm not this person.
The man standing at the door, a reverend, who found a listing for Ben's rental property on Facebook. He showed up, money in hand, to sign a lease. Problem is, Ben didn't list the home on Facebook.
I didn't know if he was going to be robbed or if someone was going to meet us there.
He had good reason to be on edge. Earlier that week, a young traveling nurse contacted him to say she believed she was about to be scammed as she attempted to rent that same house the Reverend showed up at.
Someone, scammer, would-be, saw that and direct messaged her with my listing, changed the pictures so this person knew that traveling nurses require furnished apartments. So it wasn't the interior, it was the exterior pictures only. And then they modified the interior pictures.
Luckily, Ben says the nurse realized something was up when the person posing as him asked for the first month's rent to be sent via a money exchanging app.
Fortunately for the traveling nurse, she had the wherewithal to go back to Zillow.com, verify my listing. She contacted me to let me know that this is what was going on.
Social media expert and Tulane University professor Ashley Nelson says scammers use any and every avenue to try to take advantage of people, and they're becoming more aggressive. How do you think the pandemic has played a role in all of this?
I think it's increased it greatly. People are getting used to doing things from home, and they're on their computers a lot. So I do believe that it's increased it because it's just so much easier. If you just catch a couple of people, I mean, you've got several thousands of dollars coming in.
Ben says the scariest part is the fact that the scammer wanted to meet the victim in person. That's exactly what realtor Amanda Miller says happened with one of her listings.
They actually met her at the property and took the cash from her physically.
She says a young woman saw a listing on Facebook for this property in Chalmette.
And of course, it was listed for a lot lower than what the real value was for the property. So she reached out to them. They ended up sending her an application for her to fill out, which is super scary. That contains a lot of personal information that you just don't want anybody having on the street.
If they can get your driver's license number, your social security number, and of course, the ultimate, your routing and your check account numbers, then they have you.
Amanda says the person online also asked the young woman to send $70 for an application fee. She paid it using Apple Pay. Then they told the young woman to meet them at the house. They said, "Don't worry about contacting the realtor." Amanda says the young woman went to the house armed with the first month's rent plus a security deposit, all cash.
She handed them the cash. And then they said, well, we need identification to make sure you are who you say you are. And as she turned around to get her driver's license out the vehicle, they jumped in their car and ran. And being in this industry for as long as I've been, I've never physically heard or seen such a situation where they actually met her at the property, which is quite scary.
But the young woman in Chalmette and other victims we've heard about aren't alone. The Federal Trade Commission reports consumers lost more than $5 billion to fraud in 2021. That's up more than 70% from the previous year. Imposter scams, posing as someone else, was the most commonly reported. And Ashley Nelson thinks Facebook is the platform most commonly used.
I think it's a perfect place for scammers. I mean, it's so easy if you find a vulnerable person in order to respond.
According to new data from cybersecurity firm Lookout, around 62% of Facebook users encounter scams every week. That's why the St. Bernard Sheriff's Office put out an alert to its residents to be extra vigilant about online activity, specifically trying to rent a property online. Investigators acknowledging these types of crimes can be difficult to solve.
It's terrible. Like, we are, as realtors, supposed to protect the public. And she's such a victim of such a terrible scam. And it just seems to be too easy for these people to be getting away with such a terrible crime.
Amanda says it's crucial to either go through a reputable realtor to find a home or apartment to rent, or do your due diligence.
It's so easy to go online to free websites, go to the St. Bernard Assessor or whatever city you're located in with the property, check to see if the name actually matches the person that you're speaking to.
And never, ever pay someone through a money exchanging app without verifying their identity first. Ashley Nelson believes we'll only continue to see scammers at work as more apps and social media sites proliferate our everyday lives.
Things are invented and created for good, and then there's people out there who figure out how to take advantage of it.
The St. Bernard Sheriff's Office says if anyone else in the parish has been the victim of a scam similar to the young woman in Chalmette, they want to hear from them. We've reached out to Facebook for comment on the story, but never heard back. If you've got a consumer complaint you'd like us to look into, call the Fox 8 Defenders, staffed with volunteers from the National Council of Jewish Women, or fill out our online complaint form.